Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between iNvaSOr and Wind Prime here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. So this is Wind Prime over here versus iNvaSOr Prime. But I believe both members are members of Prime, and that's the reason why I got this replay. Now both players just chatting, and we'll see how this happens excuse me, in this Protoss versus Protoss mirror match. Now, excuse me if I talk a little bit more slowly. I seem to be fighting off a cold or a flu. My daughter picked up something from daycare, and like all children, they really like to share, and now I'm feeling a little under the weather. Now we have Wind spawning over here as the blue Protoss player, gonna go ahead and throw down a pylon. Meanwhile, Wind should probably be doing the same exact thing, a little bit behind, and for some reason I forgot to throw up, so yeah, there we go. Okay, so yeah, I'm in a replay right now with Sabi P. Yeah, if you ever watch this replay, you can say, hey, that's me. Wind now gonna go ahead and throw down most likely a gateway in some position at some point. Now, a lot of Protoss versus Protoss mirror matches seem to be a lot of 4-gate pushes or 2-gate with a robotics facility, and that's really what I've been seeing a lot recently. Now both sides going to go ahead and move out, and we'll take a look at what the strategy is. Wind has not thrown down an assimilator yet, neither has iNvaSOr, so we'll see if any of them go for an early robotics facility, or sorry, not, an early assimilator and get that cybernetics core. We do see iNvaSOr getting that assimilator, and back over here we do see the assimilator being thrown down by Wind. So Wind, both players trying to go out that tech tree a little bit further, trying to get that cybernetics core, and we'll see how this really all pans and works out. We do have the probe now going to go ahead and run up that ramp and do some scouting. He will in fact see this one gateway here, and now to see this assimilator, another pylon being placed by iNvaSOr. Back over here, Wind not getting that earlier pylon, opting to go for that cybernetics core first. So I'm continuing to train up some more and more probes here. So a little bit of a discrepancy. There is a cybernetics core before a pylon. We'll see how Wind is able to respond. It will hurt him a little bit in the economic game, as you see iNvaSOr having actually, it looked like for one moment that Wind actually had a higher economic advantage. Okay, so the cybernetics core and that pylon is going to be a little bit late. Wind will be a little bit supply locked. Meanwhile, iNvaSOr now sitting at 19/26, continuing to train up more and more harvesters. Both sides do not have any army units yet, as a second assimilator being thrown down by Wind. Same thing with iNvaSOr. iNvaSOr now going to go ahead and be able to mine double the amount of gas. Now here is a key critical point in the Protoss versus Protoss mirror match. Are you going to see a lot of gateways, or are you going to see a Twilight Council or a robotics facility? And that really matters in this matchup here. The warp gate research are already being researched by both sides. So, and both sides really want to use that warp in ability that takes off 10 units of time to build any unit, as the warp gate cooldown is actually faster than the build time. If you did not know, that's one of the reasons why so many pro players go for that warp gate so early, just because it effectively increases your gateway production anywhere from 25 to 30%. Now Wind with a proxy pylon over here, so Wind may be trying to open up with a 4-gate. So we do see another gateway here, and will we see additional gateways, or will we see a robotics facility? Not quite sure yet. There we go, and it is another gateway, so it is going to be a 3, perhaps even a 4-gate. Wind now with that one stalker and a probe over here, and taking a look at iNvaSOr. iNvaSOr does not see that pylon, and this pylon is outside of sight range of the Xel'Naga watchtower. We do see a stalker and a zealot now moving in. Probe now trying to pull away from that stalker, that probe pulling back, and now 2 stalkers against a stalker and a zealot. That zealot does move a little bit more slowly, so they would just be kited all day long. Back over here we do see some additional gateways now being thrown down with a robotics facility, so it is going to be a 3-gate with a robo facility instead of just a standard 4-gate. Back over here, cybernetics core nearing completion, and we should start seeing that warp in just a moment. Wind is going to try to time this absolutely perfectly and try to start warping in those units on that far side. You can see warp gate just finished completing, now upgrading to that warp gate, and now going to warp in 3 stalkers or 3 zealots or sentries back over here. Most likely going to be stalkers for that range. Yeah, there we go. So stalkers now coming in. We do have 3 stalkers and 1 probe here, and there are 2 sentries, so very nicely done. iNvaSOr now going for those sentries will be able to hold off a very, very large army with the help of those sentries. So those sentries going to be able to turn around and drop a force field. No, Wind does not want to try to move up any of those stalkers. If a stalker does get moved up, most likely it will be able to split the army in half, and iNvaSOr can just divide and conquer, even though Wind has that stronger army, and now getting a sentry of his own to join in on this fight. Back over here we should probably see an Immortal. Yeah, an Immortal now being trained up at the robotics facility. And now back over here, we do see a robotics facility by Win. So Win now getting a robotics facility. I'm not sure if he's going to go for Immortals or Colossi yet. Back over here, we do have Stalkers and Sentries sitting out here, and both sides not really ready to engage. We need to see an Observer come in from iNvaSOr. iNvaSOr is not quite sure what is currently sitting out his front door. No people. The people is showing a fairly decent sized army of Stalkers and Sentries, as we now have an Observer being trained up over here at the robotics facility. Both sides, oh no, we see now Win now getting that robotics facility nearly completed, an additional 5 units at a time, and we'll see if he goes for an Observer first to be able to start shooting up onto that high ground, or he's going for an Observer and the Robo Bay. So the robotics bay will be able to get that extended thermal lance range for those Colossus. We do have an Observer now moving out, and with this Observer, he should be able to push out fairly easily, and perhaps even try to divide and conquer this army here. So one Observer, that army is fairly small compared to the Immortal here. We do have another Immortal now being trained up as well. Oh, getting stuck, one Stalker there, so a poor loss of a unit there, and another Sentry. So that's a very, very heavy loss. Now trying to get some force fields of his own. Stalkers barely outside of range, and another force field there. One Stalker may get taken down, another Stalker there. The losses, however, not looking too good. Losses for iNvaSOr, 525 versus 225, and now we have an Observer moving out across the field. We do have the Robo Bay completed, so we should see a Colossus being trained and extended thermal lance range, as he was saving up on 400 gas. Wind over here now moving out with this Observer. We do see that iNvaSOr has the stronger army at 1775 versus 1025. However, Wind now warping in more and more units will be able to make up that difference very quickly. And now that he's getting these Colossus with that extended thermal lance range, he should be able to start kiting with that 9 range as soon as that research is completed. Will take in about another 95 units of time to complete. Back over here, we do have one Immortal, and with the help of a probe, or sorry, an Observer, we'll be able to shoot down this pylon here. So you're going to go ahead and just shoot up onto that high ground and perhaps be able to take down that one building there. He does see this, and now out comes this Colossus. So that Colossus with that range of 6 may spell trouble. Yeah, deciding to pull back just a little bit, not quite sure. iNvaSOr does see that there is the robotics bay currently researching that, so he has to time this absolutely perfectly. Otherwise, iNvaSOr will be forced to pull back into his base once again. Out moves a probe, and that Colossus now just trying to use that ledge very, very effectively, and showing its foot for just a second, being revealed. Also, there is this Observer there. That Colossus, however, still recharging its shields, hasn't gone past shield damage just quite yet. We do see that extended thermal lance range will be completed in about another 13 units of time, so that Colossus will have 9 range, and it looks as though iNvaSOr deciding to pull back. We still have this pylon over here, and now more Immortals being trained, and we are getting Twilight Council with Blink. So Twilight Council with Blink will be able to blink in and perhaps try to surround and stop any sort of escape from these units. However, Colossus, now 2 Colossus moving out, no sides taking any Nexuses yet. iNvaSOr looking to prepare to throw down a Nexus in just a moment. There we go, as Wind is also doing the same thing. So both sides realizing that they need to expand. Their main base is nearly getting mined out, or will be mined out momentarily. Both sides fully saturated. You can see down to 600, 560. Okay, so there's still a decent amount of time, but at full saturation, those minerals can be mined out very quickly. One pylon in the middle of the map as these units now move out. Stalkers and Immortals trying to get into position. Sentries over here as well. Perhaps it looks as though the Stalkers want to come in from this side, Immortals in from this side, and try to outflank this position here. However, there are 3 Colossus to deal with, and with that extended thermal lance range already being completed, that splash damage of 90 will be able to rip through these Stalkers very easily, especially if they get choked up on any sort of force fields or zealots. Over here, we do see the Immortals now fighting in a quick blink inside those force fields, missing everything there, and iNvaSOr now continuing to fight back, losing 2 of those Colossus, and now those Stalkers are making their way up that ramp, and very nicely done using this ramp of Wind against him so that those zealots are unable to get any serious surround. This one Stalker, however, low on hit points, now continuing to fight, may be able to blink away, and there we go, able to blink away and save some of those units. iNvaSOr losing a lot of units in that fight, losing some Immortals, but Wind losing 3 of those critical Colossi. Back over here, Nexus now is training up more probes as we get more and more zealots to join in on this fight over here. We do have a couple Immortals. This Immortal very low on hit points, down to what, 32 hit points, and same thing with this Immortal. Both sides regenerating those shields as quickly as possible, as now this proxy pylon from iNvaSOr will get taken down. iNvaSOr now establishing this expansion will be able to start training up probes in just a moment, leaving just a skeleton crew back over here. Harvester count 35 to 36. production-wise, no one's training additional probes, so the macro is starting to slow down as Wind now starting to put a little bit of pressure with these Stalkers, and it looks as though this is going to be some sort of base race here, as there are a lot of Stalkers and Immortals. iNvaSOr may be in trouble. He does have a smaller army here, and these Stalkers are now finishing off this whole entire fight here. Stalkers now blinking away, able to fight another day as these warp gates now going to get taken down. iNvaSOr desperately in trouble. Oh, a nice force field there, as a force field blocking any of these units from coming up. Perhaps they should pull back just a little bit, not get taken down by those Immortals. Blinking onto that high ground for sight. Should have just blinked one unit and try to blink more after that. One Immortal now taking down, only 3 sentries left fighting this off, and now there are 4 Stalkers here. There are some Stalkers and Immortals here, and this is really coming into a base race. So iNvaSOr now losing this Nexus over here, may try to mine as much out of here, and this is really, if this really turns into a base race and a base hunt, every mineral will count. Back over here, we do see Stalkers now trying to take down this robotics facility before an Immortal will be trained, and that will be critical as well. But giving the additional minerals may be too much. Back over here, we do see the probes now moving away as another Nexus now being thrown down. iNvaSOr sitting on 600 minerals at this stage in the game, continuing to fight. Now going to be able to clear out this base. Both sides not quite sure what's going to happen. There is a robotics facility coming online, and oh, just shot down moments before it was going to be completed. We have a Nexus now on this high ground over here, as Zealots and Immortals now making their way over here. Wind most likely knows that there is another base somewhere out there. This Nexus needs to get taken down, and down it goes. Wind will be revealed unless he throws out another Nexus, and a nice force field in the back. Over here, Wind unable to blink up because he did not research it, and these probes now desperately hunting for a new place to live, as they're going to be fighting in the back. Here we go. Guardian Shield blocking more of these Zealots in over here. Stalkers now blinking away. One Immortal quickly getting taken down. Another over here. Wind is now being revealed. Another Immortal taken down, but these force fields are just too much constantly. Now I'm going to take down some of these sentries here. Need to take these down, and then perhaps be able to pull back with a well-timed blink, taking down some of these buildings. So yeah, going after this pylon here. Oh, blinked after those probes, and now in comes this army. Zealots and sentries now coming in. This is going to be a little bit bad if he loses any of these Stalkers here. And now, oh, able to blink away there finally. Army-wise, you see 675 for iNvaSOr, 1675 for Wind. And now Wind is rebuilding his Nexus over here, so it's no longer being revealed. Meanwhile, we have Wind building that Nexus, and now we have iNvaSOr over here. Both sides mining up, trying to produce more and more units. No pylon power here. No gateways left, and only a robotics facility. But the Immortal probably not going to be a good call. Wind now moving out with those probes and these Stalkers. It looks like he wants to end this game. Stay tuned for part 2 of this replay between iNvaSOr and Wind here in the Xel'Naga Caverns.